Metafiction. Metafiction, the term primarily associated with modernist and postmodernist literature, is the form of fiction in which the text, either directly or through the characters within, is aware that it is a form of fiction. Fiction becomes self-conscious. Patrick Lau offers a brief description of the basic concerns and characteristics of metafiction: an extreme self-consciousness about language, literary form, and the act of writing fictions, a pervasive insecurity about the relationship of fiction to reality, a parodic, playful, excessive or deep, tricky, naive style of writing. Pastiche. Pastiche is the French version of the Greco-Roman dish, which designated a kind of pie made of many different ingredients. A literary work is called pastiche if it is cobbled together in imitation of several original works. As the Oxford English Dictionary puts it, a pastiche in this sense is a medley of various ingredients, a hodgepodge, farrago, jumble. And collage. A collage, from the French word, is a work of formal art made from an assemblage of different forms, thus creating a new whole. Simulacrum. The term simulacrum, which is a relevant concept for literary postmodernism, was introduced by French cultural theorist, sociologist, and philosopher Jean Baudrillard. His works are frequently associated with postmodernism and post-structuralism. Baudrillard's concept of the simulacrum implies the imitation of reality is becoming something realer than real in itself. It involves a negation of the concept of reality as we usually understand it. Baudrillard argues that today there is no such thing as reality. According to critics, the school is a good example of postmodern irony and black humor. They assert that his fundamental skepticism and irony distanced Barcelon from the modernists, and they class him as a postmodernist writer. Does this show in the school? How does the author tell us about the ironic death of plants, animals, and people? What kind of setting, theme, plot structure, and symbolism is offered by Barcelon in Balloon? Does the story seem nonsensical, absurd, surreal, and ridiculous? One night, an inflated balloon covers nearly the entire southern half of Manhattan. Soon people get used to it and even start using it as a landmark. Some critics argue that this story shows how something alien can be assimilated. In your opinion, does the balloon stand for something? Can it be a symbol? What contrast does the balloon make to dark and ugly January sky? How can you interpret this story? Does it resist interpretation? Is conventional punctuation ignored in the story? Find the semantically disconnected utterances in the text. There was a certain amount of initial argumentation about the meaning of the balloon. This subsided because we have learned not to insist on meanings, and they are rarely even looked for now, except in cases involving the simplest, safest phenomena. So in what way does the passage above respond to postmodernism? What attitude does Barcelon reveal through it? Pay attention what attitude is expressed in the following. The mechanical age is drawing to a close, I said to her, or has already done so, she replied. It was a good age, I said. I was comfortable in it, relatively. Probably I will not enjoy the age to come quite so much. I don't like its look. One must be fair. We don't know yet what kind of age the next one will be, although I feel in my bones that it will be an age inimical to personal well-being and comfort. Is the narrator concerned with radical changes taking place in our culture? In what tone is the story written? Does the story respond to postmodernist tendencies? Which characteristic features of postmodernism does the story reveal? Does it respond to the idea that in the absence of God and in the absence of believing God, all the values become arbitrary? Lord, little Father of the poor, and all that, I was just wondering now that an age, the mechanical age, is ending, and a new age beginning. Or so they say. I was just wondering if you could just give me a hint, sort of, not a sign, I'm not asking for a sign, but just the barest hint as to whether what we have been told about your nature and our nature is. Forgive me, and I know how you feel about doubt, or rather what we have been told you feel about it, but if you could just let drop the slightest indication as to whether what we have been told is authentic or just a bunch of apocryphal heterodoxy. So how does this postmodernist prayer sound?